Hello learners, I hope you all enjoyed the theory of Matplotlib. Today we'll discuss regarding the codes, how to build these beautiful visualization graphs which we studied, how to build histogram, bar graphs, and we'll also discuss how to use them in which particular problem. We'll focus on the syntax, what to use, and how simply we can create some beautiful graph and draw visual insights also from them. So first, like if you are installing in your Python Jupyter notebook, you have to install the Matplotlib. If you are doing on Linux or Mac OS, these are the commands which you can use. If you're working on Google Colab notebook like me, then all these packages, as told earlier, have already been installed. So we are using NumPy and Matplotlib here. So NumPy, Pandas, and Matplotlib. These three are the ABC of Python, right? So we need to use these always, as told earlier. So let us see some of the examples now. So first is like if you have the price and the quantity as we discussed. So this is price is given in a list format, quantity is also given in a list format. What we need to write? So we have given PLT as the like alias for this particular matplotlib library where we are particularly using the pyplot function, right? So we'll give plt.plot. So basically we have to create a plot with which variables? With these two variables, which are price and quantity. So we'll create the variable like plot using these two variables, and we'll give the marker as x where it starts and where we have a particular intersection of say x-axis and y-axis, which will be these two variable, and we are giving this graph the color of red. So now if you write plt.x label price, plt.y label quantity, so this takes the y-axis quantity and this is the x-axis price, right? So when the price was 1 rupee, the quantity demand was 800 kg, suppose. When it was 1.2, the quantity demand decreased. As the price increases, the quantity demand decreases. Finally, when it is 2.2, so it is 420. So maybe like at some point, maybe at 2.5, nobody will buy this particular product, right? So this is like what insights you can give, and you can give that there is a sharp decrease and it is inversely proportional. Price and quantity are inversely proportional to each other. So this is how you can like create this line graph and also give the insights about this particular line graph, right? The next one is the price, the demand, the supply. So whenever you have three columns, right? So how to do that? So basically you can create two plots, you can create two separate plot, or you can create two line graph in the same chart. Why? Because the price remains constant, right? In x-axis, and in y-axis you have टू डिफरेंट वेरिएबल. तो हमारे पास वाई एक्सिस में क्या है, दो वेरिएबल है, डिमांड और सप्लाई दोनों हमको दिखाना है, दोनों प्राइस के साथ चेंज हो रहा है, राइट? तो अभी हमको क्या करना है, यहाँ पे हम दो लाइन ग्राफ बना सकते हैं एक सेम प्लॉट में, जिसमें वाई एक्सिस में डिमांड होगा एक जगह और एक जगह सप्लाई होगा, राइट? और एक्स एक्सिस में दोनों जगह प्राइस होगा. तो अगर आप देखें तो ये बाकी सब सेम है जो हमने ऊपर सिंटेक्स लिया था, बस यहाँ पे हम कलर चेंज कर देंगे दोनों का टू डिफरेंशिएट बोथ ऑफ देम, जिसमें हमको उसमें एक डिफरेंस दिखे, विल डिफरेंशिएट इट और विल पुट दिस पर्टिकुलर लेबल ऑल्सो कि भाई ब्लू क्या है, ब्लू डिमांड है, रेड क्या है, सप्लाई, जिससे इफ समवन सीज दिस पर्टिकुलर ग्राफ उसको क्लियरली समझ में आए, कोई भी ये देखे तो ये क्लियरली समझ सकता है, उसको कोड देखने की जरूरत नहीं है. तो जैसे हमने डिस्कस किया था कि डिमांड डाउन हुआ, ये सेम फर्स्ट वाला ग्राफ है, बट सप्लाई जो है वो इंक्रीज हो गया. अगर कोई भी चीज का डिमांड कम हो जाता है, कोई भी चीज का सप्लाई कम होता है, तो उसका बेसिकली प्राइस बढ़ जाता है, राइट? जब उसका सप्लाई बढ़ता चला जा रहा है, मतलब कोई उसको यूज नहीं कर रहा है, तो उसका सप्लाई बढ़ता चला जा रहा है बिकॉज उसका डिमांड कम होता चला जा रहा है. तो सप्लाई इज डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल टू द प्राइस. सो बेसिकली यहाँ पे हमने दो तीन वेरिएबल्स को एक साथ प्लॉट कर दिया, डिमांड और प्राइस को एक साथ और सप्लाई को और प्राइस को एक साथ इन द सेम ग्राफ. Now, bar plot. So, bar plot is also one of the most used visualization. It shows the relative data points and how to emphasize on the same. तो बार प्लॉट कब यूज होता है, जब भी हम कोई कंपैरिजन करते हैं, राइट? जैसे कि वी डिस्कस कि व्हेन वी आर कंपेयरिंग द रेंट, फूड, ट्रांसपोर्ट, यूटिलिटीज. सो दीज आर द कैटेगरीज. अगेन वी हैव टू डिफरेंट वेरिएबल्स, similar type, we give it in a list format. We give how to plot. So instead of now plt.plot, which is for line plot, we'll use plt.bar. So this is something which you need to remember. ये चीज आपको याद रखनी होगी कि आपका ये plt.bar है, जो कि आप बार चार्ट के लिए यूज करते हैं. फिर आपको एक्स लेबल देने के लिए डॉट एक्स लेबल डॉट वाई लेबल. सो यू नीड टू remember all those things, and more you practice, more you will like remember things. No need to buy hard things. Try to make more and more plot so that you are more comfortable with it. So now once you do this particular plot, and to display any plot, you need to do dot show command. Dot show open bracket close empty brackets. So this is how you can display a particular plot, right? So once you do it, as we discussed this plot in our theory session also, that rent is the maximum. So you are getting the labels here, whatever you have given amount in dollars. So exactly amount. If you don't give, then it will come blank, which would not be a clear picture. And you can give a title for the plot as well, which is monthly expenses, so that anybody seeing this plot can directly understand and directly make out from the same. Now, what is a stacked bar chart? So, a stacked bar chart is like something, say, like if you have to show, say, two things, you have to differentiate one particular item into two things, right? So, suppose like I am spending and my wife is spending something, right? We both have a different spending pattern. How much she is spending, how much I am spending on a particular thing. So, or if we want to divide that, so how we can do that? We already had the bar graph for expenses. Now you can just consider this as a subcategories, right? That is person one and person two. So once you want to create a stacked bar graph, you can create using this particular method. You can create these like you can mention person one color sky blue, person one expenses, and this is the person two is color light coral. So basically in the same graph, it will divide into two part, one for person one expenses and one for person two expenses, which is for the same category. So 1200 rent के लिए, 1000 rent के लिए, 400 food, 350 food, transportation, this is the one, entertainment, this is the one, utilities, this is the one. So ऐसे हम उसको एक ही ग्राफ में दो डिफरेंट चीजें दिखा सकते हैं. जैसे पहले हमने देखा कि दो लाइन ग्राफ, हाउ वी कैन कंबाइन एंड शो इट इन वन. नाउ वी सी दैट हाउ वी कैन put a sub categories into one particular plot, right? So here if you see we get the same thing, right? So it is for two different person, how much this person is spending and how much the other person is spending. So on that basis you can get these particular values, right? So if he is spending 1200, then this person is spending 1000. So 1200 plus 1000, total you are seeing is 2200. And similarly for all of the things you are getting it. So stacked bar graph is nothing but inside a bar graph you are stacking things. You are piling up two things in the same particular graph, and then the same method you give a label for the labels, titles, and the legend. So what is legend? Legend is this particular thing which you are specifying, person one and person two. So this is classified as a legend. Now the next thing which we have is histogram. So histogram is something which we usually use for a continuous data, right? As we were discussing, if we have scores of certain people, तो हमारे पास score है, किसी की 85 आया, किसी का 95 आया. If we have to show those scores, so how we can do that is using a histogram. So you can write a like a random function, and you can create a random scores from 0 to 100 with a like 100 interval, and then you can create a histogram on this particular value with a color sky blue and edge color as black, and you have to create 10 bins. So bins are the 10 separate values in which you have to like divide your particular data, right? So that is the 10 bins where you are like dividing your histogram data. Then you have X label as exam score, frequency, exam score, distribution is the title. So title comes here, then you have frequency, and then you have exam score. So basically, how many of them are scoring between 0 to 10, how many students are scoring 20 to 20, 10 to 20, and respectively till 90 to 100, how many students are scoring, right? So those values you will get. Okay, so now like what we get here is we get a continuous graph because there is no gap between the values, and the maximum people who are scoring are 30 to 40. So like it might be possible that 30 is a passing mark. So many of them are just passing, and there is a good jump in 80 to 90 also. And then there are very few students who are scoring between 90 to 100, or maybe say less than 100, 90 to 98. Very few people are scoring. So that is how you can read and explain this graph, and like this is on the random data, but आप चाहें तो इसको अपने एक्चुअल डेटा पे भी क्रिएट कर सकते हैं, जहाँ पे भी आपको कंटिन्यूअस डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन दिखे वहां पे यू कैन यूज द histogram. So histogram is the best thing to be used over there. Now coming next is scatter plot. So how scatter plot helps is when you have to plot various things in a point manner, and then see a particular trend. So basically plot a x and y axis in a form of a point or a circle, and just see a trend about how it is increasing. So like here we have example of R studied, how many hours you study and how much marks you get. So as it is said, right, more you study, more marks you get. So it is showing the same pattern, and then you can like plot this on x-axis, y-axis. This is the scatter plot annotation. Like everything which you'll put on first will come on x-axis, R studied, and exam scores will come on the y-axis. And then you give this, and you also mention the graph, so that again for the clear visibility, and you can give the marker as O. So if you give marker as star here, you'll get star pattern here. You can give a different shade of color if you don't like blue, and then you can have a label as well, which is student data, and you can give the again the title, labels, and the legend and all those things. So here we see it is a scatter plot which is showing the trend of how it is increasing. It increased little bit, then it increased suddenly, and then it is a constant increase, which we see y is equal to mx plus c plot, which is it is increasing, right? uh, Next topic is pie chart. So pie chart is something in which we have like multiple categories, and how to differentiate or how to show the proportion whenever there is a need to show the proportion of things, like in terms of percentage or ratios, then pie chart is something which is preferred, and especially when there is a uneven distribution. If it is an even distribution, say 10%, 10 categories each, then it is not good. But if suppose like in this particular case, one category is occupying 30%, so then it comes out of the data and it shows. So वहां पे हम पाई चार्ट दिखा सकते हैं, जहाँ पे हमको डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन दिखाना हो, परसेंटेज रेशियो दिखाना हो, स्पेशली जहाँ पे एक वैल्यू है जो स्टैंड आउट कर रही है, तो वहां पे हम पाई चार्ट दिखा सकते हैं। फिर इसको अलग अलग कलर से हम शो कर सकते हैं, पांच छह चीजें हैं, तो छह अलग अलग कलर, जिससे कि वी नो हाउ टू शो दैट। देन इफ यू वांट टू एक्सप्लोड वन स्लाइड, इफ यू वांट टू से कि एक स्लाइड को हमको बड़ा दिखाना है जिसका परसेंटेज और रेशियो ज्यादा है, तो उसको हम थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लोड यानी इनलार्ज भी कर सकते हैं। फिर उस प्लॉट की हम साइज दे सकते हैं 8 by 8, और उसका एक ऑटो मतलब फिक्स फॉर्मेट रहता है। यू कैन एक्सप्लोर ऑन ऑल दोज other formats available in this auto PCT. Basically, this is a formatting way of pie chart only, and then start angle is 90 degree. You can try to change these angles and see if whatever views suit you, so you can play around with that. But here you'll have the percentages on and the categories, so it will be divided. So it is like not x-axis or y-axis, it is like distributed across it. So percentages are coming inside and then categories are coming outside, and if you see, it is exploded. So that 0.1 is coming over here, और 0.1 की वजह से ये बाहर दिख रहा है, जिसमें people can easily visualize and see that okay, this is something which is easily visualizable, and we can easily see this particular data outside. So now we see 30, 10, 15, and each configuration we can have a different color for these two as well. Here it is showing pretty similar. Maybe we have chosen light pink two times, so ideally it should be different for each of the color, right? And then you can show someone and you can easily represent. So pie chart is one of the graphs which is widely used in the industry, right? So I think this is it for today. We have little more context level on the coding part, which we'll cover in the next episode. Hope you are all liking the sessions. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and comment your IDs if you want these particular notebook. Thank you.